How to wake you up in the morning. Rob in Memphis. Brendan O'Callaghan just got back from Atlanta last night late. Had to miss being on the lowdown with Lauren Meadows. I'll join him next week. Love being on that show. Had a great show, by the way. Pay attention. Florida and USF Saturday. Going to be a good game. Gators will be ready. But got a great one today. Take a picture with your phone of the QR code. We're broadcasting live on like 8 channels. Twitter,
14
Facebook.
channels.
14 now.
13 channels.
There are 13 channels. Okay.
I'm making it up every day, Rob.
Okay. But it's 8.
100 channels.
Yes, that's right. I know it's 8 channels. But take a picture with your phone of that QR code. Be a subscriber and then share it with your friends. And, of course, as always, support our sponsors. We've got the best audience around. Nick Roush, Kentucky Sports Report, joins us, a new guest on the show. Heard him a lot before. He knows what he's talking about with the Cats. After that, Brandon Drumm, OU Insider. It's a Rivals thing, as Chuck Oliver would say, out in Oklahoma. Met Brandon at Media Days. And then Dudley Dawson, inside Arkansas. He has a new home. This is a really big deal. He'll tell you about it. And Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal in Knoxville. So let's get started with Nick Roush. Nick, welcome aboard. And, of course, let people know before you go how people can follow you. But you live in Louisville, and you follow the Cats. I'm in Memphis. Been listening to the Cats since I was a kid on WLW 700 out of Cincinnati.
The big one.
Yeah, Kaywood Ledford, Ralph Hacker, Ashland Oil, big sponsor of Kentucky. We finally got a beat writer and someone who covers the Cats every day. So, first off, thank you more than you know for sharing your time with us. And got a big one coming up at the Kroger Field Saturday with Ole Miss. Remember what happened last year? How big is this game for Kentucky? And what's the crowd going to be jacked up about Saturday night?
I love the Ashland Oil shout out. That was my grandfather worked at Ashland Oil. And the story my dad likes to tell is they would give out cab passes to anywhere you wanted during Derby week. And when he was, getting after it in his 20s, they took full advantage of those back in the day.
It. Yeah.
But no, it's one of those where, like, this is a big game. Clearly, it's the SEC opener, but it's not just that it's the SEC opener. It's Kentucky's first chance to win an SEC home game at Kroger Field in a long time. It feels like it's been years, which it has. It's been 2+ since Ray Davis ran for more than 2 bills all over Florida back in 2023. Kentucky is just 2-11 in their last 13 SEC home games.
Yeah,
the fans need a reason to feel good. They didn't really get that against Toledo. It was a really herky-jerky offensive operation, but they were able to knock off Ole Miss a year ago down there in Oxford. And Mark Stoops, he always plays the Rebels close. So there's a reason to believe that this is going to be a nip and tuck kind of game, one that fans are really hungry for up here in Lexington.
Well, Kentucky, they've got money, and there's no doubt. We know about basketball. We're looking forward to having you talking basketball because there's a little interest up there in Kentucky. Brendan and his father, Buddy Martin, have GatorBaitMedia.com. So we cover the SEC. I'm like a father with 16 children doing this show. I'm an Auburn grad in the interest of full disclosure, but we love all the teams. Tell us about this Kentucky team. This is year 13 for Mark Stoops. Saw him at Media Days, by the way. He came up to Alex and Fitz, my friend Jessica Johnson's twins. One's a Bama fan, one's a Florida fan. But Stoops came up to him, gave him a hug, signed their helmets, autographed, and talked to him and took pictures. He's a feisty guy. Talk about, by the way, what about somebody running out at a night game in Kentucky with a Miners hat on when they run out with that American flag for a night game to ode to the coal miner tradition of Kentucky? I've said that for years.
I like that idea.
Yeah, somebody pass that along.
I'll do my best. There's been a lot of talk about that up here this week, but you kind of know what you get with many Mark Stoops teams.
Yeah.
And that was the issue in recent years as they got away from that, right? We're going to be a sound defensive team. It's hard-nosed, it's scrappy. They can run the football. And they got away with that, away from that. They had some success with Will Levis and Wandale Robinson, and they tried to crank it up a level. Like, hey, let's get these top flight receivers. We're going to air it out some more. And that experiment fell flat on its face. And then they forgot how to do all the stuff that made them successful in the first place. So that was really I think the point of emphasis all offseason is we got to get back to being that team. That team's that's going to whoop your ass in the trenches. We may not beat you in the scoreboard, but we're going to beat you up, and you're going to feel us on Sundays. So they went out, they invested in the offensive line. They got some guys in the defensive line in the trenches, in the transfer portal, and returned most of their secondary. So the defense in week 1 really did look the part. I think the biggest question you had going into the season was, are the linebackers going to be able to fit the run? Are they going to be able to stop the run? Yeah. Alex Safari just started playing this position a year ago. Is he good enough for it? Dude had 13 tackles. They held Toledo to only 60-yard rushing, and Toledo has a guy who actually played at Kentucky a year ago, played at Ohio State, is a big physical back. They really stuff him from the jump and then really got after that quarterback. That pass rush is going to be a problem in the SEC. The issue is really more so on the other side of the ball, and it's the passing problem.
Yeah.
That's always been an issue for Mark Stoops' teams at Kentucky. And it looked really herky-jerky in week 1 with Zach Calzada.
Yeah.
They got after him on a third down. There was an interception. Next drive, first play, safety. Next drive, second play, they're fumbling after gaining 30 yards down the field. So it was really just a kind of a cluster. But I think the one thing that Kentucky fans are at least like, okay, well, the running game was improved. They were averaging about 5 yards a clip until Dante Dowdell, the Nebraska transfer, who was really billed as his short yardage guy. He ripped off an 80-yard touchdown run, shows some explosiveness we didn't know he had. So there's some stuff to like in the running game moving forward, but you got to be able to air it out. And I don't think anybody up here is convinced that 25, 27, however old he is, Zach Calzada can get it done in his 7th season.
Well, he's been around a while. He was at Auburn briefly, but experience should matter. Let's talk about, the Kentucky culture. When Mark Stoops almost took that A&M job and he came back, you're there every day covering Kentucky. Kentucky Sports Report, Nick Roush. Y'all do the job. I mean, you're good enough to be on Chuck's show a lot, and I know you are. Y'all know what's happening, but talk about that culture and also his relationship with Pope. He's a Kentucky guy. Stoops is from Youngstown, Ohio, and he knows how to recruit. But what's their relationship like?
No, it's pretty good. It's just one that, things got a little chippy there with Cal for a while.
Yeah.
There was no secret about it.
Obvious.
It got a little ugly. And unfortunately, what it did is there was a real bad trickle-down effect with the fan base where it felt like fans had to say, well, I'm football first. Well, I'm basketball first.
Yeah.
It made for this big, stupid rivalry that sort of went away once Pope arrived, but there's still this group of this faction that's very bitter and is kind of sick of Stoops. Like there's some Stoops fatigue. I mean, he's the longest tenured coach in the SEC. You just don't see coaches hang around for this long that much anymore. I know there's Kirk Ferentz at Iowa and Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. But coaching searches happen a lot more frequently than they used to. So there is a little bit of fatigue amongst the fan base, and that's why I'm fascinated to see the athletic director doesn't see it the same way as the fans do, as far as the discontent between just the dissatisfaction with the product on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Wednesday. You're playing a top 20 team at home, and it's not a sellout. Like, over the last 3 or 4 years, this thing was sold out in August. Like, there was no doubt about it. Season tickets were sold out. I'm curious what happens if this offense struggles out the gate, and then you have the Boo Birds come out, right? Like, what's the reaction? Because if they don't get this win, there's fewer and farther opportunities to be able to get it done in the next couple. Like, things could get really ugly for the Cats. You got Texas and Tennessee coming to town. You got to go to Georgia and South Carolina. Like, it could get ugly if they aren't able to pull off the upset this week against Ole Miss.
Yeah, and Ole Miss last year, Kentucky goes down there, shuts them down. I mean, and Ole Miss, it wasn't that Ole Miss didn't play good. Kentucky played better. You have to give them credit for that. And I look at recruiting. Kentucky does well in Ohio and Michigan. It's the most northern SEC school. And who knows? Notre Dame may be in the league one time, so they can say Kentuckiana. You know that term. It's all connected. But you mentioned your fan base, and basketball being what it is so big in Kentucky, and now it's getting bigger. The Gators, won the national championship this past year. This league, there's nowhere to hide. So talk about, to me, your typical Kentucky fan. Do they get more angry after Kentucky loses in football or basketball, or angry in equal cases?
Oh no. There's plenty equal parts to go around. Just the difference in basketball is you've got a little bit more rope. I think what's been fascinating is how the basketball fans have been quicker to adjust to the improvements in the SEC, whereas I don't think football fans have adjusted their expectations at all. Now, 4-8 is clearly below the standard. But doing the 9-win thing, that's a lot harder to do in this new SEC. 6 wins it should be, you tip your cap to it. But I do think on the basketball front, like losing at Alabama or at Auburn, like there's Pope is given a little bit more rope in that regards in the regular season. Now, I do think it's different in the postseason.
Yeah.
Kentucky hasn't won an SEC tournament since 2018. They haven't been to a Final Four since 2015. Pope has to do at least one of those this year.
Yeah.
And that's really a non-negotiable. Or else this honeymoon phase. He did all the right things during the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
He beats Duke with the number 1 overall pick in the final seconds about a week or two into the season. Pulls off a big comeback against Gonzaga. Wins a shootout against Florida. That's awesome. Like they did all the right things. Swept Tennessee in the regular season. So like the first year you get a little bit of grace, and he checked all of the bare minimums and then maybe more. And so now fans are really just like, well, you got this roster. We spent a lot of money on it. Now go get us to a Final Four. Go get us back to Indy.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you hear these figures. You don't know if they're true or not, but if I'm 18 years old and I've got $1 million in my checking account, it wouldn't affect me at all. I'd be in class every day. I got 4 kids. I mean, they still, can I borrow $20 or whatever? But before you go, and make sure you let people know how they can follow you. This is going to be fun having you on. Love the Derby hat. Frank Duffy, who's on our Friday College Roundtable, has some horses over at Oaklawn and Hot Springs.
Nice.
His dream is to have a horse at the Derby. And our friend Dave Tompkins, who's on the show when he's not reorganizing a company, was the director of marketing at Churchill Downs for a while. We have a lot of fun on the show. Dave Tompkins, look him up. He said that job was just unbelievable. But
it's all encompassing. I'm about a stone's throw away from the track. I walk every year to Derby, so I eat, sleep, and drink it. I got to get down to Hot Springs though. A friend of mine went down for the Arkansas Derby.
You down to Ocala, man.
Yeah.
We got some horses down here,
You're
got a few of them down here.
One of the guys at our radio station, he went to the 2-year-old sale down there, and they're working them now out at Del Mar. So
more Kentucky Derby winners are trained in Ocala than Lexington,
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it is. I live in Memphis, Germantown, and Collierville. Per cat have more horses within the city limits when you ride around where I live, and it's unbelievable. I mean, there are horse farms everywhere, and it is just it's just cool. Football, basketball, the Derby, because we got a lot of people that love the Derby, Nick. And I told you I wouldn't keep you that long. I know you got to tell me again. Kentucky Sports Report. Y'all do what? Podcasts, radio, everything.
Oh yeah, you name it. We got it at KentuckySportsRadio.com. We're on the YouTubes. We're everywhere. And you can find me at Roush KSR. That's Roush, ROUSH, like Roush Racing. But unfortunately, no relation. I'm not whipping around a Mustang. So.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Hey, one other question. The Bourbon Trail. I heard it's like $50-60 billion a year to the Kentucky bottom line. any truth to that? I mean, we may have to have a drink on that. I mean, it is big, big, big business. You're in a different state, so kind of tell the Ole Miss fans before they go up there, what can they do in Lexington if they've never been?
So, part of it that's always wild to me is I think where it generates most of the money is in the tourism factor. Like it's an excuse to get your foot in the door, and then you can kind of go bebop around to a bunch of them. If you're staying in Lexington, probably the quickest drive to you is Woodford. It's not the prettiest though. Buffalo Trace is and Maker's Mark are the 1-2, but Buffalo Trace is the one that's more nearby. But you also don't even have to leave town. Like the Alltech Brewing Company is right there. So like if you want to just all right, we're just going to do a hop, skip, and a jump, see how it is. It's right next to where all the downtown bars and restaurants are. And really it's fun to do one of those tours, but I kind of see how it works. I've seen the barrels. I prefer just drinking it. So, we've got plenty of nice establishments all around town, downtown. And we actually even have our own KS Bar and Grill. That's a great game day stop before all the shenanigans begin. It'll be packed with UK fans and Ole Miss fans alike before the game. So come see us. We got great wings. We got all the beers and bourbons you could ask for just about a mile away from campus.
You're muted, Rob.
Oh.
Rob Browne, you are muted, Rob.
Sorry about that, but my friend Jeff Heimbach was texting me and said, ask him about the Old Crow Distillery. We'll get into that next time. But anyway, great stuff having you on here, Nick Roush. Let's do it again here very soon. You bring a lot. You're going to be covering a lot of grounds. Follow this guy, and we'll give you a repost, and please do the same for us.
Appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, too. Buddy. Thank you. All right, let's switch gears, head out to Norman, Oklahoma. Brandon Drumm, OU Insider. It's a rivals thing, as Chuck Oliver always says. I met you at SEC Media Days. Man, you know not just Oklahoma football, but you get the big picture. You introduced me to Jackson Arnold. You know him well. I met John Mateer out there. We just got back from Atlanta last night. We've been down there since Thursday at our daughter's. Watched what I could of Oklahoma. Let's first off, thank you for joining us and let people know how they can follow you. And Boomer Sooner, you're out there in the sprawling, we're not going to call it the Metroplex yet, but you know, Oak City, Norman, Bricktown, it's growing while we're talking. But how you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy out here. It's doing good. Thanks for having me, number one. But it's college football season, so it's been wild, crazy. Big game this week that we got so after I'm on with you all, we're actually recording with Connor Stallions. So we got him coming on with us later on this afternoon, so that's going to be kind of wild. Should be interesting. Should be a lot of clicks because he's kind of a polarizing figure. So
really,
just a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on around here. Just preparing for that OU Michigan game.
All right, and it's going to be a big one. I'm going to be heading out to Norman later this month when they play Auburn. Tony Barnhart was on the show with us Friday. Mr. College Football said, I'm going to Norman. He goes, I've never been. And I thought he'd been everywhere. Look, you got Michigan coming to town. Kind of coincides with having Connor Stallions on. John Mateer, how do you grade him? And what struck me in our conversations in Atlanta at Media Days, you really know football and you damn well know the quarterback position. John Mateer is there. Jackson Arnold's at Auburn. So let's talk, John.
Yeah, look, he had a good start. He broke Baker Mayfield's record. He threw for, I believe it was like 392 or something like that. In his for 292, something ridiculous in his first game. And obviously 3 touchdowns. He broke Baker Mayfield's, debut record, which was a big deal. And the stat lines, when you go and you look at Oklahoma just across the board, Baker's 2015 stat line, John Mateer's stat line, and then not just that, but the offense, the run game, everything is like almost they like parallel each other as far as what Oklahoma did in 2015 versus Akron and what Oklahoma did 2025 versus Illinois State. And on top of that, I've been saying for I mean, probably 2 months now that everything is so similar to 2025. It's not funny. You look back at 2015, you look back at 2015 and OU brought in a young, up and coming, late 20s, early 30s offensive coordinator who is from West Texas, who just happened to coach a quarterback that was becoming a hot name on the G5 level or lower P4 level at the time. Had kind of the same track record with Texas Tech, Washington State. Like, there's a lot, and he didn't coach at Washington State, talking about Lincoln Riley, but obviously there's a lot of what coincided with Mike Leach and Lincoln Riley. So there was that, and then it was just Baker Mayfield coming in with John Mateer, first year transfer quarterbacks. Like, there's so many things that week 2, Tennessee non-con being a huge non-con. I believe both teams kind of in the top 20, just like they are in this one. Like, there were so many things that just built up to that being a very, very pivotal year. And on top of that, in 2014, Oklahoma struggled offensively, horribly bad. In 2024, Oklahoma struggled offensively, horribly bad. So the parallels between the 2015-2025 season continue to happen. And that's kind of what Oklahoma's hoping continues to happen, because they ended up in the playoffs that year.
Yeah. Well, you've got Billy Arbuckle came after being 3 years with John Mateer at Washington State. I don't know what it is about Pullman, but people just always go there and they go somewhere else. I mean, you look at Cam Ward, Incarnate Word in San Antonio, threw for like 6,000 yards. That was, and then his journey, Washington State, and then the Miami #1 pick in the draft. Now with the Titans. So Oklahoma, talk about Brent Venables. You know that program well. You got a lot of followers that follow you and have. What is his involvement? How heavy is he completely on the defense? Because as the head coach, obviously you got to cover. But
he's a DC, so
he's an elite defensive coordinator. I mean, he's one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, he is. Ben Arbuckle's got complete autonomy of that whole offense, and quite frankly, he's making the calls, he's doing everything, but he has probably the best, I want to just kind of helper, if you will, in offensive analyst Kevin Wilson, who stands right next to him all game, and they kind of lean on each other. And then up in the booth, he's got Joe John Finley. He's got John Kieski, who's been with him, who was a quarterback coach with Cam Ward at Washington State.
Okay.
John Mateer at Washington State as well. He came down with Ben Arbuckle to Oklahoma. So the offense is different. You can tell it's a lot more refined, a lot more in depth, a lot more just smooth than it was last year. Just from the get-go last year, even throwing the ball was hard. And again, a lot of that had to do with injuries. It wasn't, Jackson Arnold. Obviously, you saw what he did last Thursday, but it was the offensive line being injured. It was the wide receivers being injured. It was the running backs being injured. So nothing worked last year, and it all just compiled to one of the wildest accumulation of injuries I've ever witnessed in my 42 years of existence and watching football. So, and then obviously, Venables said the same thing, 30 years of coaching. He's never seen anything like it. So it was just a wild deal last year. And then this year, it just looks different. It looks different. We're going to find out just how good this team is this weekend, though. I mean, everything that happened. Illinois State's a top 5 FCS program, but that's neither here nor there when you're playing an SEC program. Oklahoma didn't show anything. They didn't have 4 of their offensive linemen, and they still did well. Struggled running the ball, but, I mean, that's going to happen. But, overall, just it was a good offensive performance, not great.
Yeah. Well, you talked about what happened last year when Dylan Gabriel left, the offensive lineman, the injuries, top 6 receivers. I have never seen that happen before either. But you mentioned just now several offensive linemen out against Illinois State. Will they be back for the Michigan game?
They're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
they're back.
Also,
well, one's hurt. So Jacob Sexton's out for this weekend, potentially, most likely. Everything I've heard, he could be out for a significant period of times, but we'll see. Sometimes that stuff gets thrown out there and it's gamesmanship. But look, they didn't have Fasusi, they didn't have Derek Simmons, they didn't have Heath Ozida, they didn't have Jake Taylor last week. There's 4 players that they at least rotate at the very minimum.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are starters. So that and Jake Sexton started left tackle. Ozida was your left guard coming into the season, and your right tackle was Derek Simmons. They weren't there. So, I mean, and a lot of it was caution, except for Jake Sexton. Jake Sexton got hurt in the second series of the game, so he missed essentially the whole game.
Yeah.
But we'll see how he is this week. But they get everybody else back. Michael Fasusi was the number 1 offensive tackle in the country last year.
Yeah.
They have high hopes for him. He was actually listed number 1 on the depth chart. I don't think that's how that was going to play out. Jake Sexton was always going to start.
Yeah.
But, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Looking at, you brought in Jim Nagy, and we know him. We've had him on the show several times from the Senior Bowl in Mobile. I would ask him, I said, you ever thought about getting into coaching? He would kind of shake it off. He's a Michigan man. 4 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, I talked to him after the game about it, actually, last Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, he really knows football. I have a lot of respect for Jim. And he just knows how to find those guys, whether it's Power 4, Group of 5. He can find them anywhere. They put that 700-player watch list out. Talk about his role in recruiting, day-to-day operations at Oklahoma, because for those of you that have been locked up in a time capsule, Oklahoma, one of the 5 or 6 most winningest traditions in all of college football, 7 national titles, 7 Heismans, 52 conference titles, kind of an adjustment last year, but I'm already seeing the Nagy magic, especially on the defensive line.
Yeah, I'll just have to say this, that he doesn't have much to do with the defensive line right now. Outside of Marvin Jones Jr., I'll give him that. But he has a way of, in recruiting, yes, this year, 2026 class, Jake Krell, one of the top edge rushers, if not the top edge rusher in the country, committed to Oklahoma. They've got 2 other 4-star defensive tackles that have committed to them. They've got a guy that is kind of he's a project, but he's one of those projects that you look at, and he's out of Arkansas, Matthew Nelson, who is about 6'2", 215, but he's a sub 10, sub 11, 100-meter guy at 6'2", 215, 230, something like between 215, 230 on the defensive end out of Bryan, Arkansas. That's a Jim Nagy find.
Yeah.
Find the guy that has all the traits and we'll teach him to do everything else type deal and give him to be an NFL talent down the line. But overall, he brought in Jake Michael. He brought in Jaden Ott, the number 1 running back in the transfer portal. So that was kind of a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Big deal.
And he'll finally get to play. He was out this past weekend, so so it's kind of a stretch. He played 4 plays and did kickoff return, and they did that just so he didn't take a lot of hits in game 1. But the way he recruits is interesting. The way he evaluates is interesting. Everything's off measurables and down to the NFL science of traits, digging into every little bit of that guy's family. He has a whole list and a whole group of scouting team at Oklahoma that they brought in the front office. So Oklahoma runs their program now like an NFL team, where Venables and then they go and recruit, but Jim Nagy kind of puts it out there like, this is who we're going to go after. This is who you need to go recruit, go build that relationship. Let's get it done type deal. So it's an interesting dynamic. We're going to see if it's going to work because it's never really been done outside of, I think, North Carolina's starting to do it as well.
Yeah.
But it's the way college football's moving, and Oklahoma kind of got out in front of it. So we'll see where I keep saying we'll see, but there's a lot about this team we're going to see. We don't know a lot about this team or this coaching, not coach staff, but the front office just yet, because everything's so new.
Yeah.
Everything's so new.
All right, talk real quick before you go. The Oklahoma fan base is massive. Memphis, we just go straight west on I-40. I mean, it's just an incredible place. 80,000 seat stadium, Gaylord Family Stadium, but there's a lot of money out there. I mean, it's not as big a state as Texas. It's 5.1 million. Texas is 30 million that we know of. But if you look at national championships and you count those things, which everybody does, the state of Oklahoma with the Sooners compared to the state of Texas since 1970, that's kind of a benchmark I like to use. There's no comparison. And Oklahoma, the fan base, how do they like it in the SEC so far?
No, they love it. I mean, it's been an adjustment period. It wasn't the greatest, inaugural season that you could ever have. I think they surprised some people in basketball. They weren't supposed to be that great. They came in and they surprised a lot of people in men's basketball. Women's basketball, really good. Obviously, softball, really good. Baseball, they're good. Football just was one of those, and it's kind of the benchmark of what everybody believes in out here outside of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It wasn't great. Now, luckily, the Thunder made up for that this year and won the NBA title. But Norman is situated in Oklahoma City area. Just literally, if you're in the stadium, you look out to the north, you can see downtown Oklahoma City off in the distance. But the reason they've won so many national titles is because it's where it's situated. It's situated by Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and literally 2 hours north of the DFW metro. So you're a hop, skip, and a jump from about 15 million people. And that plays into a nice little recruiting ground for you to go mess around in and find talent. Oklahoma high school football is one of the more, as far as per capita, it's one of the top 10 per capita NFL developing states. It just doesn't get its due because it's not Florida. It's not California, Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Georgia, or Alabama for that matter. As far as, the way they develop talent in those states, it's insane. And Ohio would be another one I would throw out there as well. But I mean, it's a football crazed state. It's a football. All you have to do is go look at the high school football stadiums, and they look like small college stadiums. So it's just one of those cool deals that everybody loves football out here, and they're excited to be in the SEC, and they love it, and they want to be a part of the upper echelon like they were in every other conference they've ever been in. So it's an adjustment period. Again, that's the hope this year because the team's talented enough to do it.
Well, great stuff, Brendan. Brandon, we're going to have to bring you back on again. You really know this Oklahoma football, but you understand the big picture, and you've got kids playing football. We talked about love your vision. Again, let people know how they can follow you, and as always, thank you so much for joining us. It means more than you know, because as we build this show, give us a retweet if you can, and we'll do the same thing for you to help your brand. We really appreciate it.
You can follow me at @bdrum_rivals on Twitter. You can follow our site at OU Insider on Twitter or X, however you want. But you can go to Facebook at OU Insider Official, Twitter or Instagram at OU Insider Official, or Instagram for me at @bdrum_rivals.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Insider.com. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Look forward to watching the results of the game against Michigan. You got to beat them. And the Connor Stallion podcast, we'll be following that today as well. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Let's switch gears, head to the northwest corner of Arkansas, Fayetteville. Dudley Dawson will be on here with us in just a minute. And there he is. We don't see him, but we see a circle. He'll be back with us in a second.
Brendan makes the square.
Brendan, let me just get this out there. Ronnie Sanders just texted me our podcast on this channel today at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. Die Hard Rob Browne, Ronnie Sanders, Doug Dean, Kevin Skarbinski, the Los Angeles Rams general manager, who's from Eufaula, Alabama, Barber County. Les Snead will join us. Johnny Haygood, if you're watching right now, Johnny told me that when Les was a kid in middle school and all, he would be off on the day of the draft back when it was done differently. He would be at home putting together the drafts and ranking the draft classes for all the NFL teams. So that'll be a really insightful conversation with Les Snead, another small town guy who's gone to big things in Los Angeles. Brendan, there's so many good games this opening weekend. This weekend, there's some games that are kind of flying under the radar. And Dudley will be on with us in just a minute. But this South Florida game coming up, you take your pick. Arkansas's got Arkansas State. Dudley is in the stadium. The crowd is there watching Dudley and us. First off, Dudley, talk about where you are now. I love that. Your new home, because Audrey and I were driving back from Atlanta last night, and we saw that, and the world needs to know how they can follow you.
Well, I have added the Inside Arkansas Sports to what one of my friends called the Dead Sports Verse. Dudley Dawson, kind of my deal. But that's joining with John Neighbors, who's got a very successful podcast business going here. I'm looking forward to sitting around talking a lot more than writing. I do like writing, and I'm going to continue to write with several other things. But I believe we checked last night, my beautiful wife, Petra, and I, 7 different outlets or 8 different outlets that we're contributing to now. But Inside Arkansas will be driving the bus, as they say. But old media putting a foot into the water in new media. So.
Well, and John Neighbors had one of his. It was a young lady that was sitting. I think she was sitting next to me in the back row at Media Days. They've got a strong team. Bringing you in is like going into the portal and bringing in John Mateer or Taylor Green at quarterback. I mean, it's a big ass deal. You do so much great writing, and Vince will be on with us in just a second from the Hill up in Knoxville. But what were your takeaways from week 1? Look, I don't care who you're playing. Records are records, and they matter. What Taylor Green did throwing the ball, especially it got off, it was tied at 7, and all of a sudden, kaboom, Bobby Petrino starts calling plays.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the perfect ball game, but you're not really many teams are going to go out and throw a perfect ball game there early. When Alabama A&M went down and scored, you could see the crowd going, "Oh, here we go again." And all
of course.
But only 160 yards total offense for Alabama A&M after that. As you mentioned, Taylor Green threw 6 touchdown passes. One of the many things that we there was some concern about, or what we were trying to figure out about this team, was the wide receivers, and certainly several of those, were able to contribute. And that even didn't include Antonio Jordan, who's the freshman from Warren, who's probably going to be out another 3 weeks.
Okay.
6'4", 230. Again, one of those guys from Warren, but it wasn't a perfect game. It certainly didn't pitch a shutout, but it was neither the horrible outlook that some had, but man, it's just cool to be negative, these days, and certainly some stuff to worry about. The first game, this wasn't Ohio State or Penn State or, one of those teams that played really well this weekend, that expected to play really well. This is a team that we know who they are. 6 to 8 wins, somewhere around in there's what most people think. This stretch they're about to play, including Arkansas State, and this is War Memorial behind me here. Shifted up the settings a little bit. Looking forward to it. I went to far more Arkansas State games growing up, living over there near Newport and Balch, and then I did Arkansas games. It was as a young man was a fan of both, until I got into sports writing gig, and I've taken a lot of heat over the years from Razorback fans for saying that Arkansas and Arkansas State should play. I understood why Coach Broyles didn't want to. I actually just got off the phone with former Governor Mike Beebe, a fellow Newport Hall of Honor E and Greyhound, former Greyhound, doing some stories on that. But I'm happy they're playing. It may only be once. This may be the last game here, last Arkansas game here. That's all to be left determined. But I think, from what I understand, it was kind of like, here's a going away present to Little Rock and playing Arkansas State. And this all comes together in 2025. And I really did like when Coach Pittman, they were asking him this week, so what did you think about this game when it first came along? And how'd you feel about it? He said, look, man, I just got the job. And they said, you're playing Arkansas State 2025. I said, okay. He just wanted the job and wanted to move along. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously it's historic is definitely the right word.
Yeah. Well, some big news from the borough because, I'm over in Parkin right now. We got back from Atlanta last night and set up the studio. About to go back to Memphis as soon as we get off the air. They're putting a vet school in Jonesboro. Mm-hmm. And I was with our friends in Little Rock last year, and they drove us down to the Heifer Center. And that's where they thought the vet school was going to go. But that's a really, really big deal to have a vet school for the whole state of Arkansas.
Yeah,
to be has to go to LSU.
Yeah, to be real honest, I have a niece who is becoming a veterinarian, and she's in school at Missouri. Could have gone, I guess Mississippi State is another one, but there really wasn't for where we're situated a really nice school that you could do that in. This is going to fill a need. And certainly exciting for maybe not be talked about as much as this football game coming up, but it is a big need that is being fulfilled.
Oh, yeah, only 29 vet schools in the whole country, I might add, 2 in Canada. All right, so Vince Ferrara working through there he is right now. Vince Ferrara, the sports animal up in Knoxville. Catch him every day of the week like Dudley, putting out content constantly. And I'm talking, it ain't the quantity, it's the quality. You can count on him. But Vince, Joey Aguilar, we watched, I got down to Atlanta. It was all intention to go to the game. And our daughter had just moved into the house and granddaughter was there. And I just got distracted and I watched it on the color TV. Joey Aguilar looked really good. Tennessee looked like they were having a lot of fun. And man, do the Vols travel, especially to Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If I'd have been there, I would have met up with you. We could have gone out. It's a new experience having grandchildren. Man, they want to play all the time. Talk about your takeaways from Joey Aguilar. The other guy in UCLA, the fire department's been called on that dumpster fire. It's a mess. But, man, Joey Aguilar, talk about him.
Yeah, it was really impressive overall with the pass game, not just Joey Aguilar, but that was the big question for Tennessee was how would he play? How would that quarterback trade work? Joey Aguilar played poised. He was confident. He made good decisions. He wasn't perfectly accurate, but generally I thought he was accurate. He did things that Tennessee quarterbacks have not done since Hendon Hooker, and that's be able to scan the field. He would look left, look middle, look right, throw right, and be able to move safeties. So many analysts nationally have been critical of this Tennessee offense because guys, they would say this is a half-field read offense. So quarterbacks would either throw out in the flat real quick or have a predetermined read and then throw to one side. But sometimes that's based on the look. So it looks like it's oversimplified for the quarterback, but it's what they can handle and what they see, and then being in sync with their wide receivers. So I thought Tennessee had a few drops at wide receiver, a few misses overall with their throws at quarterback. But Joey Aguilar hit his deep shot to Braylon Staley, had perfect air under it. That has been such a frustration the last couple of years with Milton and Nico and missing too many of those shots. And he hit his, and they got a couple of turnovers from the defense, including a scoop and score from Colton Hood. So, yeah, real positives overall with the way Tennessee kept Syracuse at bay. Anytime the Orange would score a touchdown, except for the late third, early fourth, Tennessee always had an immediate response. So impressed by a lot of different things from this Tennessee team, including Joey Aguilar.
How about some overreaction Monday? Arch Manning off the Heisman list, Joey Aguilar and Taylon Green on it.
Well,
I don't believe it'll stay that way. We'll see. But the both of those guys had great, Saturdays. Taylon threw 6 touchdown passes. They were real happy with what they got there. It's fun to see all the reactions after the first complete week of football, and it just keep going on.
Yeah. Vince, I don't know your internet, you're kind of coming in and out if you're on Chrome or not, Google Chrome, but hopefully we'll work it through. But I love the background, the checkerboard orange and white from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee, on the banks of the Tennessee River. And the power T is bigger than anybody. Talk about the defense. Tim Banks is one of the constants in Knoxville. And I also think Josh Heupel does not get enough credit. We know Bobby Petrino. He does get credit. But Josh Heupel, the knock on Aguilar was a lot of turnovers in his 2 years at App State. He really didn't elevate the talent, up above what they were. He goes to UCLA for a semester, comes to Tennessee. I heard him interviewed on the way home from Atlanta yesterday. Really good story. He was despondent. He was about to do something else. He thought about being a fireman, which is a great job. But a lot of things crossed his mind. You talked about an interesting journey, and I think he's earning the respect of his teammates and certainly the Vol Nation.
Oh, yeah. The respect has definitely been there, and it was validated in seeing him in a game. A lot of guys that we've talked to this week were very happy for him. Not surprised, though. He admittedly in the post game, he has a mellow flow to him, is how he described, and he played that way where he didn't look panicked or lacking poise, or the stage was too big for him on this level in the SEC. So those are all things with that calm demeanor you want to see from your quarterback, kind of flatlining, still with some energy and some swag, made some plays with his legs, but he's a bigger guy than what people might think. 6'3", 220-ish. So he had good pocket presence, escaped the pocket with a touchdown pass on a broken play to Star Thomas, one of their running backs, on a scramble drill. And he didn't automatically bail the pocket to run, but he bailed to be able to throw a touchdown pass. So, you're right. Great story. He's a guy that's been through a lot with, during COVID, like you said, was already starting to prepare to be a fireman, and family was like, you're not quitting, and so he gained confidence. He had to earn a starting job in JUCO. He had to earn a starting job when he wasn't first on the depth chart at App State, and then he was part of a QB group even when they brought him in the portal at UCLA, and then they chose Nico over him at UCLA. He has to come to Tennessee and then battle for this job and then win this job. His experience really showed through. And I think this offense, it's also trying to do more things and have more wrinkles. They're able to, because of their personnel. Joey Aguilar is a big part of that. And then real quick, you mentioned Tim Banks. It wasn't to their standard of defense, to be honest with you. They did some really good things. They had 5 sacks, which they didn't do in any game last year. They didn't have that many sacks. They had two turnovers, a pick six, a scoop and score on a sack, strip fumble, and then also had a tip ball on a corner blitz that led to a diving interception by one of their linebackers, Jeremiah Thielander. So they got after Steve Angeli, did some really good things, but they also gave up some yards and some throws. 377 yards is not to their standard, but they're also banged up. They were missing David Hobbs, one of their interior defensive line rotation, a former 5-star. Jackson Moy went down in the first quarter, one of their starting D tackles. He will miss the ETSU game. They're already down Jermod McCoy, one of the best corners in the country, and it'll probably be several more games before they get him back, which means not having him for Georgia. Then they lost Ricky Gibson after 19 snaps. He's their second best corner that was really elevating, and the two of them, I think, at their best can be as good a corner duo as there is in the country. And now Ricky Gibson is out for an extended period of time. So now you're looking at going to Georgia without your two best high-level SEC corners. But they had a freshman play great in Ty Redmond, play 60 snaps, and then Colton Hood, the Colorado transfer, had a great game as well. So they still have some bodies back there, but they've been banged up on defense, but they expect to be even better moving forward.
All right. Call me Mellow Yellow. Who wrote that song? Was that the Beatles? Albert Hammond, Mellow Yellow? There's a line in a song. Dudley, look, that Joey Aguilar and Taylon Green, they are two really good quarterbacks. I don't care who you're playing, you want to get off to a good start. Kind of break down the last few minutes we got what you saw off of Arkansas that maybe you'd like to see them improve on in the second game, because Butch Jones will have Arkansas State ready. This is going to be a fun game Saturday.
Yeah, Arkansas State's a very good football team, regardless of what side of the state you come from. If you're in the middle of it, you have to acknowledge. And as I said, I grew up over that. I was far close, 30 minutes from an Arkansas State game, and back then 4.5 from a Razorback game. So saw a lot of that. Coach Jones, Butch Jones, has done a really good job over there with the Arkansas State program, routinely 8-9 wins, going to bowls and all that. This is a much better football team than Arkansas played last weekend, although Alabama A&M, Sam Shade's probably got a future somewhere at a bigger place as things go along after Miles College and here. But as far as improvement from Arkansas, I think you need to see a little bit better defense. As I said, they only had Alabama A&M only had 160 yards after that first drive. But you want to go out and do your best you can to shut down an offense there early on. Arkansas State has a tremendous quarterback in Jalen Rayner and a lot of great athletes. If they allow Arkansas State to get it a couple of times in the end zone, they're going to be in for a long day. Arkansas should win this football game. Yeah. One of these teams is a Power 4 team. One, may not recruit at the top of the Power 4 level, but should win this football game. But it is I love the coaches have been passing back and forth all week. No, there's more pressure on you. No, there's more pressure on us. All that this week. So, and what a line that Coach Pippen trotted out. Roman Memorial's a lot closer to Jonesboro than it is to Arkansas, so it's not really a home game for us.
I like that angle, Vince. Tennessee. Everybody is going to be looking ahead. I mean, you've got Etsu, coming in Saturday, and then on the 13th, it's Georgia. What were your takeaways just as you bounce around the league? Any stories that, again, I like to ask this question because y'all are so knowledgeable, that people aren't paying attention to, aren't even talking about, that you think are important, that you will be talking about?
Well, you mentioned what's ahead after ETSU, and we actually had ETSU coach Will Healy on our show this morning. He was fantastic and very complimentary of Joey Aguilar and in Tennessee. So, and Dudley, you guys are in the same situation, right? You got Ole Miss on the road after this game. So Tennessee and Arkansas in similar situations where you can't get caught looking ahead too much.
It's just a little quartet of Arkansas State, Ole Miss, Memphis, and Notre Dame. It's just the season. I mean, that's how the season's going to turn.
Well, that is wild because I'm an hour from the borough, 32 minutes from Memphis. Memphis is an hour from Oxford. This is kind of the center of the universe for Arkansas right now. It is, yeah. So,
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to answer your question real quick, Rob. As far as the league, obviously people are talking about it, but the most impressive thing I saw was LSU's road win at Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, they play defense like that when you know they're going to put up points and have the offense rolling. If they play that kind of defense and taking another step defensively, look out, man. That's a legit LSU team, man. And Garrett Nussmeier, to me, is the best quarterback in the country. South Carolina, I was impressed by them. I know they didn't run away on the scoreboard from Virginia Tech, but Sellers is going to be such a problem. I saw other playmakers around them and a pretty nasty defense too. I think those are good signs for Shane Beamer in South Carolina. So, and then, I'm kind of thinking about picking Oklahoma over Michigan this week in the only top 25 matchup in college football. They've got really good pieces there in Mateer and Ott from the portal and improve the offensive line, and they're finally healthy at wide receiver. So I think maybe they might this week, but I think people have been underselling Oklahoma, and I still think Auburn was very much a positive in what they did at Baylor.
Yeah, I have two things. Auburn, Jackson Arnold, congratulations to that young man. He took a lot of grief at Oklahoma last year, with the start and all that. I think everybody's in a better situation. Sometimes a change is good for both sides. Obviously, Oklahoma has a really good quarterback. So Auburn was one of the things. The other thing is I don't know that there was any football game of the 30 or whatever I turned on this past week where I didn't hear the phrase, he's a seventh-year player. I mean, it was unbelievable how many.
Tommy boy.
Yeah. I remember the college football landscape weren't worried about having to play too many young guys, in this. And Arkansas, played a couple of freshmen, but what you got to do is get your program to where you get those seventh-year guys in it now.
Yeah. Well, they're going to start selling SEC canes, It'd be kind of cool. All right, look, guys.
All AARP is a natural sponsor for some of these guys,
I know. It's going to be fun. Look, I absolutely love having y'all on. I love your backgrounds. The passion, man. Dudley Dawson, inside Arkansas. Follow him. Pay attention to what he says. Same thing, Vince Ferrara at Vince Sports. These are two guys that do it right every single day. They are nonstop coverage, guys. We'll do it again next week, and I'm sure there'll be lots to talk about. We didn't even touch on what happened in Tallahassee. That's a whole nother story. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Take care. Let me say, sponsors, man, we're so blessed. Landers Ford, Memphis.com. LandersFordMemphis.com. They're open every day of the week except Sunday. Poplar and Houston Levy, where Collierville and Germantown meet. All the Hams grew up in Collierville. Mark, Audrey, Max, all of them. There used to be a big old cotton field out there. Now it's the biggest car lot inventory in the Mid-South. $500 off for SEC audience members. Ask for the general manager, Brad Bellamy. Make it simple. He'll help you and do everything in his power to get you behind a new car, truck, or SUV. They're number 4 in the nation in expedition sales. They've got the Broncos, the Ford Escapes, and their service department is second to none. They'll pick you up, take you in, round-trip transportation. They are right down the street from the great folks at Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, HewlettandDunn.com. Check out the boot of the week. I talked with J.M. Huffman. He and Raven Carpenter are going to put the boot of the week up there. They're taking pictures. They're getting some days 40-plus boxes of Filson, Barber, Duckhead, Pendleton, Schaefer, Marshwear, Duck Camp. Man, they've got over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots. They got boots for kids. Charles Hall and his wife, Laura, two of the finest people you'll ever meet. They are Collierville. They are Mid-South. They are great people. You will love them. They'll ship an order. They'll ship it immediately. You'll get it in a nice box, as Brendan knows. You can send cowboy hats, boots, anything that you want, HewlettandDunn.com. Hey, how you fight is how you live. Rumble Boxing, Union and McLean, Midtown Memphis. Look, get in there. You got 48 opportunities in those classes, 48 spots. Hit the bags, hit the weights, and do it every day of the week. Open at 5:30 in the morning. And Camp Lee, the owner, they got a great team there. How you fight is how you live. And, hey, having trouble sleeping, you need to chill, need some energy. Hey, look, Lights Out Gummies, Dave Bartu. He's on the show on Mondays. Pro Athletes Hemp Association, 25% off. Use code Sidelines at checkout. I can tell you these things work, and they will just make you relaxed. You'll sleep. You won't be fidgeting. And turn off your devices before you go to bed. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Have a great day. We'll be on today at 4 p.m. Central on the Die Hard podcast on this channel. Los Angeles Rams GM Les Snead from Eufaula, Alabama, home of Johnny Haygood, will join us.